Ladies and gentlemen, listen closely. There comes a moment in your life when you must decide that nothing and nobody will control how you feel, how you live, or who you become. You must learn to protect your peace like it's your most precious possession, because it is. People will come at you with words, actions, and even silence meant to disturb you. But your reaction, that's your power. That's your choice. You are not here to be shaped by negativity. You are here to rise above it. Life will throw tests at you, but you control the narrative. You choose what you respond to. You choose what you internalize. And starting now, you choose not to be affected. When they doubt you, focus harder. When they reject you, level up. When they try to break you, smile and move forward. Because nobody with a purpose wastes energy on noise. Be so focused on your growth that pettiness can't reach you. Be so grounded in who you are that opinions don't shake you. Be so full of peace that chaos looks for someone else to bother. Emotional independence is not something you are born with. It's something you build. It's a practiced mindset, a cultivated habit, a conscious decision made every single day. Many people live their lives on emotional autopilot, reacting to everything that happens to them, giving away their peace to circumstances, opinions, and judgments. But if you want to be truly free, you must learn that your emotions are yours to govern, not the world's to manipulate. Every time someone speaks negatively about you, every time you face criticism, every time you encounter disappointment, you are being handed an opportunity to train your inner strength. Emotional independence doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop crumbling. It means you stop seeking validation for every move you make. It means you stop allowing the emotional temperature of others to control the climate within you. This kind of control doesn't come naturally. It's forged through discipline. When you practice holding your response instead of exploding in anger, you're training emotional independence. When you choose to walk away from drama instead of engaging, you're building that inner wall. When you remind yourself that your worth is constant, regardless of what people say or do, you are reinforcing the unshakable foundation you're standing on. And let's be clear, emotional independence is not indifference. It's not numbness. It's emotional maturity. It's the realization that you can feel pain without being paralyzed by it. You can acknowledge negativity without absorbing it. You can witness storms around you and remain the calm in the middle. Most people are deeply reactive. They let someone's bad mood spoil their day. They let rejection kill their ambition. They let social media comments alter their self-impunity. But you're learning that real power is emotional self-control. Not in pretending everything is okay when it's not, but in deciding that you will respond with intention, not impulse. The moment you stop waiting for others to give you peace is the moment you start owning it. The moment you stop depending on praise to feel valuable is the moment you tap into true confidence. The moment you stop chasing approval is the moment you become unstoppable. Yes, it takes time. You'll slip. You'll have moments when you react emotionally and feel weak, but that's part of the process. Every challenge is a training session. Every setback is an invitation to grow. Little by little, you'll find that what used to shake you no longer moves you. What used to hurt you no longer touches you, because your emotional independence has become your shield. And once you have it, nobody and nothing can take it from you. In a world that constantly seeks to categorize, compare, and critique, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that your worth is determined by what others think of you. But here's the truth. External opinions, whether they are filled with praise or poisoned with judgment, do not define who you are. They never have, and they never will. The opinions of others are shaped by their own perspectives, insecurities, experiences, and biases. They are reflections of their world, not of your reality. Every person views life through their own lens. Someone might admire your strength, while another might mislabel it as arrogance. Someone may applaud your choices, while someone else might criticize them from a place of misunderstanding or jealousy. That's why tying your identity to what people think is like building a house on sand. It will always shift and eventually collapse. The moment you start relying on outside validation to feel valuable, you hand over control of your self-worth. You become a puppet pulled by the strings of opinions that are constantly changing. One minute you're celebrated, the next you're questioned. And if you're not careful, your self-esteem will rise and fall like a tide, driven not by truth, but by perception. But imagine this instead. You know who you are and you own it. Whether someone compliments you or critiques you, you remain grounded. Whether they recognize your effort or overlook it, you keep going. Why? Because your value doesn't fluctuate with someone's mood, status, or preferences. It is steady, unmoved, and deeply rooted in truth. This doesn't mean you stop listening to feedback or become closed off to growth. Emotional maturity allows you to differentiate between constructive insight and baseless opinion. You learn to take in what's helpful and discard what's harmful. You understand that sometimes people project their fears onto others. Sometimes they criticize what they don't understand. And sometimes they simply don't see your vision, and that's okay. You don't need to convince everyone to believe in you. You don't need a round of applause to feel validated. Your journey is yours. Your identity is you. And once you embrace that, a remarkable thing happens. You stop shrinking to fit people's expectations, and you start expanding into your true self. Confidence is not the loud voice in the room. It's the quiet assurance that you are enough without needing permission, confirmation, or consensus. The more you trust yourself, the less you need others to agree with you. And that is where your freedom lives. So the next time someone tries to define you, pause, reflect, and remind yourself, their opinion is theirs, but it doesn't belong to you. You don't have to carry it. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to let it affect your identity. Because when you know your worth, nobody else gets to write your story. Rejection and failure are two of the most feared experiences in life, yet they are also two of the most powerful teachers. The problem is most people take rejection personally. They experience failure and immediately question their worth, their abilities, and their potential. But this is the wrong perspective. Rejection is not a reflection of who you are. It's a redirection. Failure is not an identity, it's a lesson. When you begin to separate yourself from the experience, you gain the power to grow from it instead of being broken by it. Think about how many people have given up on their dreams because someone told them no. Think about how many ideas never came to life because a single attempt didn't work. When you see rejection as personal, it becomes a wall. But when you see it as feedback, it becomes a bridge. The truth is, every person who has achieved something extraordinary has failed more times than they've succeeded. The difference is that they didn't let those moments define them. They let them refine them. You must begin to see rejection not as a sign of inadequacy, but as a necessary step in the process of discovery. Maybe that job didn't hire you because there's a better opportunity waiting. Maybe that relationship didn't work out because you were meant to grow stronger alone first. Maybe that idea flopped because it needed more time, more thought, or more experience behind it. Life is not punishing you, it's preparing you. Failure is only permanent if you stop trying, and rejection only hurts when you believe it means you're not enough. But you are not your rejection, you are not your failure. You are who you choose to become in the face of it. Some of the most successful people in the world were told they weren't good enough, smart enough, or talented enough. But they refused to let those opinions become truth. They kept going, not because they never doubted themselves, but because they believed growth was on the other side of failure. This mindset shift is powerful. When you detach your identity from the outcome, you gain resilience. You start to approach life with curiosity instead of fear. You begin to ask, what can I learn from this instead of what's wrong with me? That one question can change your entire journey. Remember, rejection doesn't close every door, it often opens the right one. Failure doesn't mean you're not capable, it means you're pushing boundaries. And both are signs that you're in motion, that you're alive, and that you're daring to grow. So don't fear rejection. Don't avoid failure. Embrace them as necessary parts of the process. Because when you rise after falling, when you try again after hearing no, you become stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the success that is already making its way to you. Resilience is not built in times of ease and comfort. It is forged in moments of difficulty, discomfort, and uncertainty. Many people want to be strong, confident, and unshakable, but few are willing to go through what it actually takes to become that. The truth is, real strength doesn't show up when everything is going your way. It reveals itself when nothing is. It reveals itself when you're tested, when you're stretched, when you feel like quitting, but you choose to rise instead. Comfort zones may feel safe, but they are also silent traps. They keep you in familiar patterns, predictable routines, and emotional stagnation. Growth never happens there. If you never feel challenged, then you never develop the tools to overcome. If you never face pressure, you never learn to stay calm in chaos. If you never fall, you never learn how to rise with purpose. That's why resilience begins exactly where comfort ends. Resilience begins perpetually where comfort ends. Think of the strongest people you know. Do you think they became that way by having an easy life? No. They became resilient because they endured storms that could have broken them, but didn't. They faced rejection, betrayal, setbacks, and pain. And every time they got back up, they added another layer of strength to their foundation. Resilience is the reward for walking through the fire, not avoiding it. But resilience isn't just about surviving hard times, it's about using them. It's about taking the pain and turning it into power. It's about deciding that challenges will not be the end of your story, but the beginning of a stronger chapter. Every obstacle you face has the potential to strengthen your mindset, sharpen your focus, and deepen your drive. That's why it's not the absence of struggle that makes someone great, it's how they handle it. Discomfort is a sign that you're being stretched beyond your limits. It's your body and mind adapting, growing, evolving. When you push through discomfort, you build endurance. When you keep going despite the pain, you build character. Every time you choose not to quit when it would be easier to walk away, you're telling yourself, I'm stronger than this. And that message matters because life will continue to challenge you. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. But when you've built resilience, none of that can shake your foundation. You may bend, but you won't break. You may struggle, but you won't stop. You'll know that everything you're facing is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable. So don't run from the hard days. Don't fear the discomfort. Lean into it. Let it teach you. Let it reveal the strength you didn't even know you had. Because resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn. And the more you push past comfort, the more unbreakable you become. Your energy is one of the most valuable resources you have, yet most people spend it carelessly on things that don't matter. People who drain them, and situations that don't deserve a reaction. Just like money, energy must be invested wisely. Where your energy goes, your focus follows. And where your focus lives, your life grows. If you're constantly pouring your emotional energy into conflict, drama, negativity, or self-doubt, you'll have nothing left for progress, peace, or purpose. Think about how many times you've allowed someone else's mood to control yours. How often you've replayed conversations in your head, trying to make sense of someone else's words or actions. How long you've sat in anger, frustration, or sadness, drained by things outside your control. All of that is energy being spent, and just like money, once it's spent, it's gone. You can't take it back, but you can choose how you spend it next time. Imagine waking up every day with a full emotional bank account. You get to choose where to invest into your goals, your growth, your peace, your creativity, or you can waste it, arguing with someone who's committed to misunderstanding you, worrying about what others think, or replaying old failures. The choice is always yours, but every time you choose wisely, you're reclaiming your power. Wasting energy on negativity is like trying to drive with the handbrake on. You're pushing forward, but something is constantly slowing you down. The mind becomes cluttered, emotions become tangled, and progress stalls. But when you learn to protect your energy, something shifts. You stop reacting to everything. You stop chasing validation or revenge. You begin to value your emotional peace so deeply that anything threatening, it feels like a distraction, not a challenge. Start being intentional with your attention. Not everyone deserves a response. Not every situation deserves your emotional engagement. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to match someone's energy when it's low, petty, or toxic. Just because someone is miserable doesn't mean you have to join them. That's the power of emotional intelligence. Choosing your energy before the world chooses it for you. This mindset isn't about avoiding problems or pretending to be positive all the time. It's about understanding that your energy is limited, and if you spend it all reacting, you won't have any left for creating. You won't have the energy to build your dreams, strengthen your mindset, or cultivate meaningful peace. The more you protect your energy, the more productive and peaceful your life becomes. You'll find yourself less reactive, more present, and more aligned with what truly matters. People may call it selfish, but it's actually self-respect. You're not being cold, you're being careful. You're not ignoring life, you're prioritizing what helps you grow. So the next time something pulls at your attention, ask yourself, Is this worth my energy? If the answer is no, let it go, because your energy is your power, and your power deserves to be protected. Silence is often misunderstood in a world that equates noise with strength. People assume that if you're quiet, you're weak, that if you don't respond, you don't care. But true strength doesn't always raise its voice. It doesn't always argue. It doesn't always fight to be right. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all, because silence, when used with intention, becomes a weapon of wisdom, a shield of self-control, and a sign of emotional mastery. You don't need to react to every insult. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone who misunderstands you. Not every battle is worth your energy, and not every comment deserves your response. When you choose silence, you're not giving up, you're choosing peace. You're rising above the noise instead of being dragged into it. You're proving that your self-worth is no longer tied to being heard by people who aren't listening. In silence, there is observation, there is thought, there is power. You're able to see situations more clearly when you step back instead of lashing out. You get to respond with clarity rather than react with emotion. Silence allows the storm to pass while you remain still, grounded, and unmoved. One of the greatest signs of maturity is when you no longer feel the need to prove a point in every situation. You understand that people will believe what they want regardless of your words. And that's okay. Your peace is not up for debate. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to know that chaos doesn't deserve a place in your mind. There's a calm that comes from being in control of your reactions, from knowing you could respond, but you choose not to. That choice is power, that control is freedom. Silence in that moment becomes a statement. It says, I am not here to entertain negativity. I have nothing to prove. I know who I am. In a culture that rewards loud opinions and impulsive reactions, silence can feel uncomfortable. It can even be misread. But that's not your problem. Your job isn't to manage other people's interpretations. It's to master your own mind, to know when to speak with purpose and when to hold your peace. And silence doesn't mean avoidance. It doesn't mean bottling up your emotions or suppressing your voice. It means knowing when your voice adds value and when your silence protects it. It means choosing wisdom over ego and peace over pride. Let others exhaust themselves with noise. Let them try to pull you into battles that have no winners. You'll move with quiet confidence. You'll let your actions speak. You'll let your growth be the loudest response. Because when you truly understand your worth, you realize that silence isn't weakness, it's strength in its purest, most powerful form. Focus is one of the most underrated superpowers a person can develop. In a world filled with endless distractions, constant noise, and overwhelming demands on our attention, maintaining focus is both rare and powerful. But more than that, focus creates freedom. When you know exactly what you're aiming for, when your mind is locked in on a purpose, you gain control over your time, your energy, and your emotions. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter, and you start building a life that actually reflects your values and vision. Most people are scattered. Their attention jumps from one thing to another, from social media to gossip, from other people's opinions to self-doubt. They wonder why they feel anxious, unmotivated, or stuck. The answer is simple. They're trying to focus on everything. But when you try to focus on everything, you focus on nothing. And without focus, your life lacks direction. Without direction, your energy gets pulled into anything that looks urgent rather than what is truly important. The more focused you become, the more you filter what enters your mind in your life. You stop entertaining drama. You stop chasing approval. You stop reacting to every distraction that tries to pull you off course. Instead, you start asking better questions. Does this help me grow? Does this align with my goals? Does this deserve my time? If the answer is no, you walk away. No guilt, no explanation, just clarity. Focus helps you move faster because you're no longer starting and stopping. You're no longer changing your mind every time something new pops up. You're committed, and that commitment builds momentum. Each day you take intentional steps forward. You no longer need motivation every morning because your vision pulls you. Your goals are clear. Your purpose becomes louder than your excuses. But focus doesn't just give you direction, it also gives you peace. When you're focused on what matters, you don't have time to be petty. You don't have energy to waste on jealousy, comparison, or negativity. You're too busy building, too busy growing, too busy becoming the person you know you're capable of being. Focus simplifies your life by removing the unnecessary, and in that simplicity you find freedom. Freedom from overthinking, freedom from overcommitting, freedom from living for others. You no longer need to please everyone, impress anyone, or prove anything. You're not here to do everything, you're here to do what matters. And that awareness is powerful. Yes, staying focused requires discipline. Yes, it takes practice to ignore distractions, to say no, to stay on your path. But every time you do, you're reinforcing the foundation of your future. You're telling the world and yourself that your purpose is not optional. It's essential. So let your focus be fierce. Let it cut through the noise. Let it guide your steps and protect your peace. Because when you truly lock in on your vision, nothing can stop you. And that's where your freedom begins.